report that. Let me just get back to this Pentagon situation, of course, developing in our own backyard. Of course, this is the military center of the United States, the command center, and Associated Press reporters saying he or she saw the tail end of a large airliner plunge into the building. Again, a large airliner, so it's leading to suggest, again, this might have been a coordinated hijacking of airplanes to fly them in suicide missions using planes as bombs, as the professor put it, planes as domestic planes as weapons.
It would appear at this point, not to be overly dramatic, on a horrible, horrible day, that some of the major parts of the United States, in terms of public prestige, are under siege right now.
Okay, one more area now that we are going to be checking out, the National Mall. Is there a particular building on the mall? Let me ask our producers. Okay, a report of a fire on the National Mall. Of course, we'll be checking that out as well.
The president was told of the first incident this morning in Sarasota, Florida. He left immediately after making phone calls to the vice president, the governor of New York. This was before the scenes you're seeing here. Now here, as Lark pointed out, you can see the buildings of the Pentagon, and of course the Pentagon is constructed in a series of rings, appears to be intact at this point, which is a good sign.
Which is a good sign.
We're hoping now, you can also see, just off the right-hand side of your screen, a helicopter circling just to the right. We're hoping to get more information about the Pentagon. We do have a crew on the way to New York as well, we might point out.
Now, if we can, let's see if we can get a double box so we can watch the Pentagon unfold, as well as we want to keep our eye on the situation in New York City. That's right. And we're also going to try to find out what's going on in the National Mall, report of a fire there.
We've just gotten word in that the U.S. Capitol, we believe, is being evacuated, along with the west wing of the White House. And there we see over the old executive office building. You can see in the distance someone in the way there, but you can see right behind that technician there the flames coming from the Pentagon. As we also see on the left hand of our screen, the flames coming from the Twin Towers, the World Trade Center in New York. This could be the start of a major event in U.S. foreign policy. Those events probably going to unfold in the next couple of hours, and we're hoping for more information as to what exactly the United States is going to respond. The amazing thing at this point, Lark, it would appear to me, would be the simultaneous hijacking, not of small planes that you can rent, but of major commercial jetliners.
Major commercial jetliners. And we had a professor on from American University who was talking about this as being an escalation of terrorism, a different technique that we have not seen. Of course, we've seen individuals strapped with explosives. We have seen trucks packed with explosives and cars, and now again to see airplanes used as bombs.
And now some confirmation and some more specifics on one of the aircraft involved, and this is back, we believe, on the first impact into one of the World Trade Centers. That now it is being identified as Flight 11, an American Airlines flight from Boston to Los Angeles. But at this point, we should also point out we don't know at what stage any hijacking may have occurred, whether in fact after the flight had taken off or the plane was even boarded.
Okay, we have this report now from the FAA, the Federal Administration Aviation, shutting down aircraft takeoffs nationwide. So folks, if you're expecting to take a flight today, forget about it there, yes, because they are shutting down air traffic. And is it nationwide?
Yes.
Let's hear that. Is that confirmed, the FAA, nationwide?
Let's check.
This would be incredible. I think that would probably be unprecedented, to have a nationwide shutdown of air traffic.
So at this point in the United States, we have the Pentagon and the World Trade Centers in New York City attacked by terrorists in planes, hijacked, commercial aircraft hijacked. We have air travel in the United States stopped. We have the White House evacuated.
Bridges and tunnels coming into New York have been closed. That will create a whole different set of problems. We are also being told that the FAA has suspended takeoffs and landings, and I want to make sure I get this right, guys, that at all airports around the country. Air travel in this country has come to a halt this morning, as clearly people in government, police forces, fire departments are trying to figure out what exactly is going on. There are several now incidents that look, for all that we can tell, to be a major terrorist attack here in the United States. So all airports all across the country are closed. All bridges and tunnels coming into Manhattan are closed. The Pentagon has been evacuated, or is being evacuated. The White House is being evacuated. The president, who is in Sarasota today to make a speech on education, has spoken briefly to cameras and will shortly make his way back to Washington. They are checking out Air Force One now.
The capital evacuated.
The capital, right.
It is as close in my 41 years to being at war as we have ever been. Perhaps an overstatement, but on a horrible day.
Only Congress can declare war, but it will be interesting, of course, to see what the U.S. response will be. I suspect it will be swift and strong once they are certain of what has happened here. I think perhaps if you were saying that is an act of war against this country, then yes.
I would think that would be the case.
Right.
The last word we had was 1,000.
Right, we should point out, and we don't know how they're arriving at that figure, but yes, talking about reports out of New York again of 1,000 injuries, and it is certainly easy to believe that figure, and I'm sure soon we'll begin to hearing from hospitals there in New York City, and we are checking as well with our local hospitals to find out if any people have been taken from the Pentagon. Sources
are also reporting now to the Associated Press that the White House was in fact threatened with terrorist attacks. So obviously good reason, and perhaps I'm sure that evacuation would have taken place even without that, considering the situation with regard to the Pentagon. Yeah. We want to go back now to American University professor Emilio Viana, who specializes in terrorism. Professor, let's get your reaction to what is unfolding here. A plane attack against the Pentagon, against the World Trade Center. How do you describe this, Professor?
Well, it seems to me to confirm that it is a concerted, well-planned attack by people who want to inflict damage to the major institutions of the U.S. and of the Western world. Obviously, the World Towers symbolize the financial power of the U.S., Wall Street, etc., etc. The Pentagon clearly represents the might, the military power of the U.S. So it fits very well into the pattern of the attack on the USS Cole and on the embassies in Africa and other interests of the U.S. In the world. In other words, it is a well-planned, concerted attack on the U.S. as the world superpower, particularly, I would assume, because of the role it plays, supposedly or really, in the Middle East, in its hostility towards Iraq, Iran, and other Arab countries, and the support, obviously, of Israel.
Chris Plant, tell me what you've learned since we last talked.
Well, in speaking to people here at the Pentagon as they're being evacuated from the building, I am told by several people that there was, in fact, an explosion. I was told by one witness, an Air Force enlisted, senior enlisted man, that he was outside when it occurred. He said that he saw a helicopter circle the building. He said that it appeared to be a U.S. military helicopter, and that it disappeared behind the building where the helicopter landing zone is, and that he then saw a fireball go into the sky. I'm attempting to make my way around to that side of the building in my car right now to see if I can get a better visual perspective on the scene on that side of the building, but I can tell you that security has certainly clamped down. The U.S. Park Police and other federal law enforcement department has arrived in force on the scene. There's a Park Police helicopter overhead. Every car that arrives at the gate where I was located was being stopped by officers at gunpoint. Everyone is being forced out of their vehicles as they arrive at the Pentagon. It's a very tense situation, obviously, but initial reports from witnesses indicate that there was, in fact, a helicopter circling the building. Contrary to what the AP reported, according to the witnesses I've spoken to anyway, and that this helicopter disappeared behind the building and that there was then an explosion.